Hi everyone, welcome to our project entitled How Bees Communicate, Decoding Their Communication Dance. First, let us start with an introduction to the life cycle of honeybees. The life cycle of honeybees is of 4 stages: the egg stage, larval stage, pupal stage, and the last adult stage. Starting with the egg stage, the queen bee is the only bee in the colony who is capable of laying about 2000 to 3000 eggs in a day. Queen bee lays both fertilized egg and unfertilized egg. The fertilized egg develops into the female bees or queen bees. The unfertilized egg hatches and the male bees are born, which are known as drone bees. Larval stage. The difference between the worker bee and the queen bee is made 3 days after the egg transforms into the larva. The royal jelly is fed by the workers to all the larvae. Later, the royal jelly is fed only to the female larva, which eventually becomes a queen bee. Finally, the worker bees covers the top of the cell with bee wax in order to protect and facilitate the transformation of larva into the pupa. Pupal stage. Here, all the bees has developed parts like wings, eyes, legs, small body hairs that physically appears close to an adult bee. At the adult stage, once the pupa is matured, the new adult bees chew its way out of the closed cell. The queen bee takes 16 days from the egg stage to form an adult stage. The worker bees takes 18 to 22 days for the complete development, and the drone bees takes 24 days to develop into an adult bee. Now let's discuss about the anatomy and morphology of the honey bee. Let's start with digestive system. Digestive system starts from mouth and ends in anus. Esophagus dilates into honey sac, which opens into the child's stomach. The sac, like large intestine, is the posterior continuation of the small intestine, and it is lined by a longitudinal rows of chitinous teeth. The opening between the small intestine and large intestine is guarded by the walls of 6 plates. The digestive glands are 3 pairs of salivary glands. The saliva from these glands mixes with pollen and nectar, and it is converted into honey for future uses. Another pair of coiled glands is present in the head of the worker bees, which produce a nitrogenous food called royal jelly. Next comes respiratory system. Honeybees have external respiratory openings called spiracles, of which 3 pairs on the thorax and 7 pairs on the abdomen. Bees breathe through a network of tracheates and air sacs. The respiratory system is enlarged, making rapid flight capable. The spiracles access the trachea. The trachea arms widen, forming air sacs which store air. Branching trachea and tracheoles supply oxygen to the tissues. The bee's respiratory system transports air directly to its tissues. Nervous system. Honeybee consists of a brain and 7 ganglion in various junctions throughout the body. Most locomotion is controlled only by the ganglion. The ganglion consists of several nerves. The labial nerves comes from trichocerebrum H3. The mandibular nerves comes from H4. The 2 other pairs of nerves comes from H5 and H6 and go to the maxillae and labium respectively. Bees are able to learn and have short-term memory. The honeybee's nervous system works along with other senses such as the sense of smell, sense of taste, and sense of touch, etc. Circulatory system. Honeybee possess open type of circulatory system. Blood does not transport oxygen but rather transports the hormones and nutrients to the tissues. Blood collect waste products from the tissues and transport it to the excretory organ. Bee blood also serves as a reservoir of food. Bee have single vessel. Part of the vessel region present in the abdomen region is called as dorsal heart, and part of the vessel region present in the thorax region is called as dorsal aorta. Dorsal heart has small holes in it called ostia. When the blood reaches abdomen, they leave waste product collected from the body and took over nutrient produced in the abdomen and transport nutrients to the various tissues. Reproductive system. Let's begin with female reproductive system. Females have two large ovaries in their abdomens and are composed of about 150 or so ovules. The ovules are long tubules. The lateral oviduct extend and unite into a single oviduct called the median oviduct. The mature egg passes from the ovule into the lateral oviduct and then into the median oviduct. The queen can control whether or not the egg is fertilized with the sperm provided by the drone. The queen possesses special organ in her abdomen called the spermatheca. The spermatheca holds and nourishes all the sperm. The queen has a special valve that she can open and release the sperm to fertilize egg. Worker honeybees possess reduced ovaries that contain around 5 or so ovules. They rarely have spermatheca. Here comes male reproductive system. Immature drones have large testes that are composed of tubules in which sperms are produced and mature. Drones reach sexual maturity around 12 to 13 days after emerging, and the testes are reduced in size. The sperms have migrated to the sausage-shaped seminal vesicles that grow in size as sperm migrate. The abdomens of drones also contain an endophallus which is stored inside the drone's body. During storage, the endophallus is inverted or turned inside out. The endophallus is forced out of the abdomen when the drone copulates with the queen. It takes much of the drone's hemolymph to force the endophallus out of the body. Thus, the everted drone becomes paralyzed and ultimately dies as a result of forcing out of his endophallus and copulating with the queen. Following anatomy, let's look into morphology. Honeybee's body is divided into 3 parts that are joined and that move with each other. They are head, thorax and abdomen. The external features of the head includes a set of antennae, 2 large compound eyes, 3 smaller simple eyes and the mandible, that is the mouth parts. The antennae of the honeybees are bent. Honeybees have hairy eyes. Honeybees' mandibles are small. Thorax of the honeybees is a middle body part. It is connected to the head of the abdomen and it is the center of the movement. Wings and legs are attached to the body at the thorax. Honeybees have 2 pairs of wings, forewings that are larger than the hind wings. Both sets are transparent. They have 6 legs. The front legs are slightly shorter than the back legs. The hind legs of the honeybees have pollen baskets on them. Abdomen is segmented and each segment has a yellow and black bands on them. At the tip of the abdomen is a barbed stinger. Next, we shall move on to the features of different types of bees. Commencing with queens. Queens are larger in size, which ranges from 150 to 250 mg. It possesses huge abdomen that has a well-developed reproductive apparatus. Ovaries with 200 to 400 ovarian filaments and the spermatheca, which makes her able to perform one of her most important social tasks, that is egg laying. It possesses stinger. Drones. Drones is a male honeybee. Their size ranges between a worker and a queen bee's size. The body is broad. The back is blunt and square-shaped. Unlike the worker bees, drones do not have stingers. They do not gather nectar or pollen. Primary role of drone is to mate with an unfertilized queens. And the last, workers. Workers are smaller in size, which ranges from 80 to 110 mg. They have a specialized morphological traits like hypopharyngeal glands, wax glands, notched mandibles, and pollen baskets, corresponding to their social roles, including nursing brood, constructing the nest, and foraging for nectar and pollen. They have ovaries, but their size is much reduced, a single pair of ovaries with each less than 20 ovules. Workers usually do not produce eggs when the queen is present in the colony. Let's have a look on special glands. There are 10 different types of glands present in honeybee. They are Tergite gland, Nasanov gland, poison gland with poison sac, Koshevnikov gland, Dufour's gland, wax glands, thoracic labial gland, mandibular gland, hypopharyngeal gland, and the last, head labial gland.
Now we are going to see about the responsibilities of different honeybees. First, the queen bee. It is a female bee which mates with the drones and lays eggs. It is the queen which runs the hive. Next, the drone bee. It is a male bee and its only role is to mate with the queen. The last is the worker bee. It is a female bee which does not breed due to underdeveloped ovaries. Rather, it acts as nurse bees which cares for young worker bees, new drones and new queen. Act as housekeepers which clean the hive. It forages and brings information on nectar sources. It builds and expands the hive. It collects nectar and processes it into honey. And it gives protection and defends the hive. Now we shall see the roles of each of these honeybees in detail. Role of queen. A virgin queen bee flies to a site where many drones are present. It mates with approximately 10 to 20 different drones in flight. Queen bee will attract drone in a drone congregating area. There are 3 different patterns of signals in queen during mating. Virgin pre-mating queen presents a weak signal. Mating queen intensifies the signal. Post-mating dominant queen exhibits a stronger signal. During winter season, the queen bee lays eggs and forms new colony. It nearly lays 2000 eggs per day. Unfertilized egg develop into drone bee, which emerge from the cell within 24 days. Fertilized eggs develop into worker bees or queen depending on the jelly fed to the larvae. Role of drone. The primary focus of drone bee is to mate with the queen bee. Drones are larger bees hanging around the hives during spring and summer season. During the mating activity, hundreds or even thousands of male bees compete to mate with the queen bee. The male bees don't fight for mating but simply see who can fly closest to successfully mate with the queen bee. Next, the role of worker bees. Worker bees are females, and as said, they do not breed. They act as nurse bees, that is, they take care of the larvae, the drones, the queen, and also other worker bees. It is their responsibility for feeding royal jelly or worker jelly to the larvae. They keep the hive clean all the time. They act as forager bees that bring information on nectar sources after foraging. They build and expand the hive. Forager bees collect nectar and bring it back to the hive. They also are involved in processing the nectar into honey. They act as security guards which give protection and defends the hive. Now let us see about the most interesting and main part of our project, the social behavior of honeybees. The social behavior between honeybees has many advantages, but one of the important advantage is that it has the ability to quickly mobilize a large number of foragers to gather floral resources. Such ability to communicate the location with that precision is one of the most interesting behavior of honeybees. There are several processes or types of social behavior. They are food sharing, which includes trophallaxis, dancing, which includes round dance, transitional dance, waggle dance, shake dance, and tremble dance. Pheromone signals, which include alarm pheromone, Nasanov pheromone, forager bee pheromone, queen pheromone, and larval brood pheromone, and the last is vibration.
Now let's see about dancing. Round dance. A round dance is the communicative behavior of a foraging honeybee in which the bee's movement is in a circle. This is used to indicate the food source is less than 50 meters from the nest. The bee moves on the comb in closed circle, alternating right and then left. Elements of the round dance also provide information regarding the forager's subjective food source's profitability. Acoustic signals are produced as a part of the round dance. These acoustic signals communicate information regarding direction and give an indication of the distance to the food source. The dance sounds produced by the round dance are airborne and are of sufficient strength to stimulate Johnstone's organs in the antenna of the follower bees to which the forager is communicating. The follower bees extract information about the direction of the food source from the acoustic field that the forager produces. Next is transitional dance. Bees are recruited to food sources that are at intermediate distance between 50 and 150 meters away from the hive with the transitional dance, which is also called sickle dance. This dance is crescent shaped, that is, it is between a round dance and a figure 8 waggle dance. The waggle dance and the round dance are two forms of dance behavior that are part of a continuous transition. Next is waggle dance. A bee performs the waggle dance when she wants to inform other bees of a nectar source she has found when it is located at distance greater than 40 meters from the hive. The waggle occurs on a special dance floor which is conveniently located near the entrance to facilitate quick entrance and exit of foragers. Only bees with the news of a highly profitable source of a nectar execute the dance. Arriving back at the nest, a bee with news to share immediately proceeds to the dance floor, where other bees waiting for news gather around her. During the waggle, she dances a figure 8 pattern with a straight pathway, zigzag walk in between the loops and a sporadic fluttering of her wings. The longer she waggles, typically bees make between 1 and 100 waggle runs per dance. The farther the flower patch lies from the hive with every 75 seconds. She prolongs the dance, adding roughly another 330 feet to the distance. She shows how rich the source is by how long and how vigorously she dances. She also indicates the direction of the source by the angle her waggle walk deviates from the imaginary straight line drawn from the dance floor to the sun at its current position. Finally, the dancer shares the order of the flower in question with the other bees, who sample it with their antennae. Attendees will watch only one waggle dance and only for a brief period before leaving the hive. However, even close to the nest, the round dance can contain elements of the waggle dance, such as a waggle portion. Now let's see about shake dance. The shaker dance is done by the foraging bees. A worker does the shake dance when nectar sources are so rich that more foragers are needed. A worker arriving back from the foraging run will move throughout the hive and shake her abdomen back and forth before a non-foraging worker for 1 to 2 seconds before moving on to more non-foragers at the rate of between 1 and 20 bees per minute. This dance encourages these non-foragers to make their way to the waggle dance floor. The bees which receives the shaking signal will move faster and deliver signals to the other bees in the colony, so that other bees will also respond to it by changing their direction. Such dance will help to activate the colony for foraging preparations. The average duration of the shaking dance is 1.2 seconds and the mean number of vibration per shaking dance is 19.7. Next is tremble dance. Workers do the tremble dance when foragers have brought so much nectar back to the hive that more bees are needed to process the nectar into honey. Walking slowly around the nest, the dancer skews her leg, causing her body to tremble from side to side. Lasting some time more than an hour, The tremble dance stimulates additional bees to begin processing the nectar.
Let us see about food sharing. The sharing of food is done by trophallaxis. The trophallaxis refers to the direct transfer of food or fluids from one individual to another. It is especially common among the social insects such as bees, wasps, ants, and termites. In many species, including bees, the trophallaxis is an important part of colony communication. Let us see about vibrations. We recently uncovered more about a well-known important honeybee signal known as the dorsoventral abdominal vibration signal. The signal lasts 1 second and occurs when a honeybee grips a recipient bee with her front legs and rhythmically shakes her abdomen back and forth, usually 20 times per second. It is known as the honeybee wake-up call. The signal tells other bees to prepare for an increase in workload, particularly in relation to foraging. Now, let us see about defense mechanism. To prevent a potential attack on their hive, giant honeybees have created a tough defense mechanism. When another bee lands at the hive entrance, the guards quickly approach and antenate it in order to check whether it is a nestmate. When they find out they are intruders, they can quickly mobilize a large group of stinging guards that will fly after and attack potential predators. They can also heat their abdomen to more than 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The several bees surround a small predator like a wasp, heating it up until it dies. The presence or absence of a queen has a strong effect on honeybee defense behavior. Without a queen, all bees become generalists and participate to nest defense. Now, let us discuss about swarming. Swarming is the process by which a new honeybee colony is formed when the queen bee leaves the colony with a large group of worker bees. The scout bees search for suitable cavities in which to construct the swarm's home. The successful scouts will then come back and report in the form of vibrations the location of suitable nesting sites to the other bees. In the process of swarming, the original single colony reproduces to 2 and sometimes more colonies. The swarms settle to 20 to 30 meters away from the hive for a few days and will then depart for a new nest site after getting information from the scout bees. Now, let us discuss about fluctuation in food availability. The small peaks of vibration dance activity, which tended to coincide temporally with small peaks of foraging activity, occurred with a similar frequency throughout the year. These small vibration peaks may have adjusted foraging to short-term fluctuations in food availability. In spring and summer, bees exhibited large morning peaks of vibration dance activity which preceded foraging. In fall and winter, compared with spring and summer, morning vibration dance peaks were smaller. Therefore, during winter, less number of bees are seen foraging, while in summer, more number of bees are foraging for nectar. Let us see about pheromone signals. First, let us see about queen pheromone. The queen mandibular pheromone or QMP is a honeybee pheromone produced by the queen bee. It attracts workers from a short distance and causes them to lick and antenate the queen and thus pick up the pheromone and spread it throughout the colony. They also stimulate foraging behavior in forager bees and signals drones for mating. Next, we move upon alarm pheromone. The alarm pheromone is secreted by both queen and worker bees. The alarm pheromone are released when a bee stings another intruder animal and attract the guard bees to the location and causes them to behave defensively. The two main alarm pheromones have been identified in worker bees. One is released by the Kostyevnikov gland, which recruits the defensor bees to sting the intruder away from the hive. The other alarm pheromone is released by the mandibular gland, which is a 2-heptanone used as an anesthetic and to paralyze the intruders, after which bees removes the intruders from the hive. Now let us see about forager bee pheromone. When worker bee become a forager, its mandibular gland released forager bee pheromone. This pheromone slows down the slow behavioral maturation of young bees and foraging activity. It stimulates the foraging behavior in forager bees. Now, let us see about nasopheromone. The nasopheromone is released by the worker bees for aggregation, that is, during swarming or if the bees are displaced from the hive. These pheromones are released to orient the returning forager bees back to the colony. The bees use these pheromones to find the entrance to the colony or hive. The nasono includes a number of different terpenoids, including geraniol, nerolic acid, citral, and geranic acid. Finally, let us see about larval brood pheromone. The larval brood pheromone is released by both larvae and pupae. This pheromone helps the nurse bees to distinguish the worker larva from the drone, larva, and pupa. It stimulates the feeding of the larvae, capping of the cells. It also slows the behavioral maturation of workers and inhibits the worker ovary development. It also stimulates the foraging behavior in forager bees.